It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Quick reminder, all of the lore and information, storyboards, etc. are from nextersglobal and Hero Wars webpage, as well as in-game content, which I'll link below. And any stat and skill information that is not from in-game content that I show is from Dan Buccini's Dan Butch Casting Hero Wars guide, which I will also link below. Thanks.
Look, Ma, I'm a knight. Little Galahad shouted, swinging his wooden sword. Come on, Mom, I'm really brave. Mother, tired from a long work day, just smiled looking at her growing son. It's not easy raising a child alone, especially when the levies are becoming higher, reducing the already meager wages of ordinary peasants. The years passed, Mother was getting old, and Galahad, all grown up, replaced her in the field. But even after all the work under the burning sun, the young man never stopped training with the sword, now with the iron one. Swing, chop, block. Sweat fills the young man's eyes. Hands do not obey. Another strike. Laureen, Galahad's mother, was watching her son and waving for the porch, telling him that he doesn't need all that training and should rest. But her eyes were shining with an infinite love, hiding some long-standing mystery. Once, in the middle of the day, Galahad heard someone screaming nearby. He dropped his hoe, grabbed the sword, and rushed to the noise. A large group of heavily armed raiders surrounded a respected old man. Nevertheless, he was holding up. A sword was directed at the throat of one of the bandits, showing that the man didn't want to give up that easily. Taking advantage of the moment, Galahad rushed on enemies and made them run away. Since then, the young man has become a faithful helper of Sir Raymond. That was the name of the man Galahad saved. All his life, the famous knight has been serving the country and had no wife or children. Raymond and Lorraine developed a strange relationship. These people seemed like they had known each other for years. The knight and his young protege cleansed forests from the bandits and rescued people regardless of their ranks and titles. It seemed like everything was going in the right direction. But happiness didn't last long. Some people, envious to get his inheritance, weren't okay with the lonely aristocrat's new friends. And when Galahad and Sir Raymond went on a hunt, one of the bribed servants fired at the young man. The knight turned his horse, pushed Galahad away, and was wounded in the shoulder. The arrow was poisoned, and after a few agonizing days, Raymond died. But before his last breath, he gave Galahad a thick envelope. It had inheritance papers inside, a note on the passing of the title, and a letter in which Raymond shared that Lorraine, Galahad's mother, was his beloved whom he had to leave when he was sent to war. And the young man was in fact his son. Hearing this story, Sir Galahad swore an oath worthy of his parent. I'm a knight, he exclaimed, waving his sword made of legendary Corunian steel. I will hold to the father's title and will always serve for the good of Dominion. So, how do you get Galahad? Well, you start with him. So easy peasy there. Let's talk about soul stones. I guess he's the face of this game. So of course you're going to start with him. He's a very cool hero. So how do you get his soul stones? Well, of course you can get his soul stones in the heroic chest, as you can get hero soul stones that you already own the hero of out of the chest, I believe. And you can also get him by completing campaign missions. And in Facebook, it's Chapter 2, Chapter 5, and Chapter 7. You have 3 opportunities on each to get his soul stones. Of course, I believe that the mobile version is a little different on which missions that you get, but yeah, pretty straightforward on how to get them. Let's just kind of roll right into the introduction for Galahad. Of course, I'm going to cover the stats here in a little bit, but just to kind of get it out of the way, he's a frontline guy. He's a tank. He used to be a little bit more offensive, but now he's more of a tank. They just had a rework not too long ago, and I think that the rework was extremely beneficial. And now he's probably one of the top 10 or 15 heroes in the game. Definitely one of the top tanks in the game, in my opinion. Of course, your opinion might vary. So he's a tank. Frontline, main hero stat is strength, and that means that for every point of strength, he gets 40 health and 1 extra point of physical attack because strength is his main stat. Okay. He has 4 skins, so he probably won't get a 5th skin anytime soon. He's got his default skin, which is strength. His Angel skin, which is pretty cool. Probably my favorite. Kind of a paladin-ish look to him. This is straight physical attack. You have his champion skin, which you get with Guild War trophies. And I really like this one. This is more like his PvP skin. This boosts his health, and then finally his romantic skin, which is kind of nice, kind of a mix of both the gladiator and the champion and angel skin. And this one gives you armor, so you'll need you'll need armor and health if you're going to use him as a main tank. Otherwise, I would probably focus on his physical or attack or strength skins first. Of course, also all these stack, so you'll want to level them up eventually. Yeah. So for Glyphs, let's check these out. He's got physical attack, he's got armor, he's got health, he's got magic defense, and he's got strength. So this guy is designed now to be a fantastic hybrid tank damage, hero. But the fact that his glyphs don't have armor penetration means that if you're going to use him for damage, you're going to need an armor penetration boosting hero somewhere else in your lineup. But if you're going to use him for your tank, I would probably do armor and magic defense first, and then I would do health, and then strength, and then physical attack last. That would be the order that I would do his glyphs. And the reason why is this. So all of his abilities are based on physical attack, but none of them really have anything to do with his ability to tank. His weapon actually gives vampirism. So over time, as you upgrade this slot right here, he'll get more and more vampirism. It's kind of a unique hero in that regard. But and that of course is affected. His damage is affected by physical attack at that point. But if you're using him as a tank, you're going to want to use mitigation glyphs first. If you're using him as a damage dealer, then you're going to want to use his physical attack glyph first and his physical attack skin, of course. And let's talk about his his skills. So his activated ability, his gray ability, it's an area of effect damage. It hits everybody on the team if they're there, if they're like jumping or moving or something, then sometimes it doesn't. But this is just a straight damaging attack. It hits everybody. It's based on physical attack. You have his green ability, which is unstoppable charge. This is an interesting attack, as it will push him up to the front position. So if he's sitting behind an Astaroth or a Rufus, this will actually push him in front of those. But it'll remove all status effects. If he's slowed or dazed or he's asleep, then this will remove that effect and deal physical damage. You have retaliation, which hits the lowest health enemy on the enemy team. So in that regard, he could hit a squishy healer in the back or a squishy mage in the back. Again, his damage is based on physical attack. And then finally, his violet ability is a boost to his gray ability. And basically it does extra damage as pure damage. So pure damage is an interesting damage type, and I'll go over more of that in another video, but that's kind of huge as a damage dealer. His artifacts, let's take a look at his artifacts here. He is a physical attack boosting hero with his artifact. Other tanks have plus armor, plus magic defense, plus health, plus dodge. Galahad has plus physical attack, so kind of lending to his hybrid tank / damage dealer, which is kind of interesting. His book is magic defense and armor, so kind of a strange swap there. I was hoping that this was going to be armor penetration, but it's not. So again, more of a tanky artifact here. Definitely want to focus on this if he's your main tank. And then of course his ring being strength as his main stat. So yeah, that is kind of the introduction to Galahad. So looking at these stats, I'm actually not sure if these are completely updated. There was a note on the guide that said that it needed a little bit of revision, but I'm just going to run with this for now. And of course, if I'm completely mistaken, Dan, call me out and I'll add a citation or something, a little notation. So his default power ranking is 13, with all 4 of his skins maxed out. Of course, he's one of the handful of heroes that has 4 skins. With all 4 skins maxed out at fully leveled up, he is 3rd of all heroes. He fights in the front line, and of course he's a strength hero. He fights in the 8th slot, so he's going to be close to the front, in front of everybody but most tanks.
So for strength, he's 8th overall. Health, he's 6th overall. Armor, he's 2nd overall, which is amazing. Magic attack is kind of poor, so having a Faceless in there or a Cornelius to boost this up is going to be great. And of course, his intelligence and agility isn't that great because he's a strength hero. And then, as you can see over here, his artifact ability is bonus to physical attack, and he's got 0 vampirism. But if you if you equip him. As you level up as you promote him, you equip a weapon, and the weapon will include some vampirism. So even though his innate vampirism is 0, he does gain vampirism from his equipment, and he's one of a handful of heroes in the game that actually has vampirism. So, that's kind of cool. That's kind of unique. So who would I use with Galahad? So there's really kind of 2 ways you can go about using him. You can use him as a main tank if you really want to. So a popular format on my server. A lot of teams will use Galahad and King Mao because they're both physical damage dealers, and then they'll use Jorgen, Cornelius, and where's my Martha? Oh, up here. So a lot of teams will use this, and what it really breaks down to is you have Galahad as a tank, and because he has 4 skins, he's quite versatile. He can stay alive, he can do some AoE damage, he can keep himself up. His his artifact ability boosts physical attack, so stacks well with King Mao. And then you have the utility of having a great healer, a fantastic anti-mage hero in Cornelius, and then the control energy management master in Jorgen. So that's actually one team that I see a lot of. Another team that I see a lot of actually involves going a slightly different direction. Let's see. Here he is. So this could be a classic twins team. You have Galahad as a tank, and you have your twins, Lars and Krista. You have Jorgen in the middle for control support, and then you have a fantastic healer. So that's another good team. So really, what it boils down to is how I would use Galahad, since my main tank is Astaroth. If I was going up against a team that was trying to stall, that had a lot of healers, maybe that had a lot of tanks, I would probably swap out Astaroth for Galahad just to have the extra damage, because Astaroth doesn't quite do as much damage as Galahad does. And then use my standard. This is kind of my standard team right here. This would put out a whole lot more damage, but it is a lot weaker. So it really depends. Another great use for Galahad is as a secondary tank behind Ziri. So Ziri's a good tank. She's fantastic, but part of the time she buries herself and she's not a great tank. So in those instances, what you need to have a second hero that can take a few hits while she's down. Galahad's a great option. He's a really good option there. So again, Ziri burrows under to heal up a little bit, and Galahad takes a few hits. Your healer has a chance to heal up Galahad while Ziri's healing up underground, and then she kind of pops back up. And then finally, an interesting team that I've kind of been looking at a little bit. Where are you? I really want to build this team, and I know it's kind of silly, but this is like a Timeout Team. And there's a couple of variations of it, but what it really kind of boils down to is earlier I mentioned using Galahad as a tank in place of Astaroth to destroy Timeout or defensive teams. So this would be a good team on defense. Luther, he jumps to the back line. He'll knock out the enemy Martha's totem. He'll redirect a lot of the attacks back that way. Maybe your opponent's using Celeste, and she'll pop her darkness AoE on him instead of your whole team, and that's kind of helpful. Rufus for the magic support, and then of course Galahad. You could probably swap out maybe Rufus for Astaroth, depending if you're going up against a mage heavy team, then absolutely use Rufus. If you're not, a physical team, then yeah, swap in Astaroth. So yeah, I like having these two as bookends of a good team, and then you stop in or you drop in a really solid hitter like Satori or King Mao or Ginger, Kira, what have you. In fact, one of my favorite free to play, quote unquote free to play teams would look a little something like this. And then you use Thea. Let's see, here you go, Thea, and then Cornelius. I like this team a lot. You could swap out Thea for Martha if you get lucky. But yeah, that's Galahad is very versatile. He's definitely one of the heroes I would recommend investing in. You can't go wrong with him. If you're currently investing in him, he'll help you out a lot in the campaign. He'll help you out a lot in high level arena and grand arena, and he won't be a wasted resource.